Aloha and welcome to Aquarian Radio at aquarianradio.com. I am your host, Janet Care Lesson, with co-host Dr. Sasha Lesson. Today we're going to begin with a new series called The Anunnaki and Us, 30 chapters of our history, starting 4.5 billion years ago and coming forward into time to 311 BCE. And we're going to start with an overview to this series called Meet Our ET Ancestors, the Anunnaki.
Long-lived Homo sapien Goliaths from the planet Nibiru mined gold on Earth 400,000 years ago. 300,000 years ago, they created Earth-adapted, short-lived mind slaves. That's us, from their genome. We called them Anunnaki. That means people from the sky. The Anunnaki taught us hierarchy, violence, and greed. They taught us slavery. They taught us debt. They made us worship them and call them gods. 200,000 years, Enki, their chief scientist, begat his own line of earthlings whom he exalted. He begat Noah with Batanash, his earthling lover, in 11,000 BCE. After Noah's flood, the Anunnaki ruled through Noah's sons' descendants. The Anunnaki ruined their eastern Mediterranean cities with nuclear blasts and fallout storms, and most of the Anunnaki returned to Nibiru by 311 BCE. But some stayed, and they and their descendants, the power elite, rule us to this day.
The Anunnaki stand feet taller and live millennia longer than we do. We killed in their names. Allah was the Sumerian god Nanar. Yahweh is usually known as Enlil, sometimes Adad. And Inanna is Ishtar. And these are Nibiran expedition personnel. They bred us to slave in mines, armies, businesses, schools, governments, farms, factories, brothels, and building projects. We worship them and the royal lines of ever-murderous hybrid rulers and priests, the elite they begat. The few Anunnaki who stayed on Earth in the line of hybrids they support still rule the Earth. They give all factions and nations credit and arms and engineer wars among them. The elite run competing religions. With each, they say they'll bring back the Anunnaki god of their faith and defeat gods and followers of other faiths. Anunnaki and hybrid overseers imprinted their greed, one-upmanship, and dominator consciousness on us. They modeled, dictated, and indoctrinated avarice, domination, slavery, competition, hate, and violence.
In 2016 BCE, the Anunnaki chief scientist, Enki, dictated his view of the world to an earthling scribe in Iraq, which at that time was called Sumer. Clay tablets that Enki and the other Sumerian gods dictated say that on Nibiru, a king and his military ruled. The Anunnaki dictated the tales of how, 450,000 years ago, they got gold from Earth, and how, until 300,000 years ago, when they created us for their mines, they were already shipping the gold back to Nibiru. Their stay on Earth before they made our ancestors, and also what our forefathers actually saw, has imprinted upon us the values that these Anunnaki had, the values of a hierarchic, male-run, master-slave-enemy mentality. We assumed the Anunnaki's values of extract, pollute, enslave, in debt, monopolize, and, of course, obsess with gold. Yet we are really, all of us Earthlings are descended from the same ancestors from space. And we can transcend this legacy of the gods. We can remember that all humans, all us Earthlings, are one, and we can survive together.
Millions of years before the Anunnaki got to Earth, other ET terraformers seeded hominoids here. The terraformers introduced advanced hominoids, ancestors of Homo erectus, Neanderthal, and Bigfoot, to Earth so the Anunnaki could implant Homo erectus genes into their Homo sapien genome and thus adapt their genome to Earth. The Anunnaki created what the terraformers planned for us. They made us Homo sapien like them, but adapted to Earth. We progressed when the Anunnaki gave us new technologies. Every 3,600 years they gave us marvelous devices, astronomical and geological information, new crops, new chemistry, and ever more lethal weapons. Suddenly, our architecture, public projects, weaponry, and military training revved up, and we built new cities, temples, and armies. Our Sumerian ancestors didn't imagine gods who made them literate and told them what to write. Rather than make up gods, Sumerians saw, heard, and even touched Anunnaki as people like them, though the Anunnaki stood taller and lived longer. Sumerians watched the giants run computers and advanced machines. They witnessed gods shooting weapons of mass destruction.
In Sumer, then all over the planet, the gods gave our ancestors ever advanced technologies and models so that they could rule, relate, mine, store data, compute, do all the things they needed to do to rule on behalf of the gods. And they chose their half-breeds to rule us. The Anunnaki bred with our ancient grandmothers each generation. Our ancestors everywhere on Earth then saw, heard, and felt the gods. They weren't imaginary, and they sure weren't gods. Mesopotamians, Egyptians, Indians, Norse, Chinese, Tibetans, Central and South Americans all spoke of the gods. All said the gods rode stuff like celestial chariots, threw thunderbolts, and when Nibiru neared Earth and everybody could see it in the sky, the Anunnaki gave us crops, herds, devices, medicine, laws, knowledge, and more Nibiruan genes.
In 2000, Zechariah Sitchin showed us clay and stone proof, rocks and inscribed records, astronomical, geological, geographical, chemical, and biological information. Sumerians said gods gave them information our scientists only got millennia later. Sitchin solved the mysteries of missing hominid links never found since they didn't exist. He showed how they periodically up-leveled our society and its industries. No missing physical links existed since we appeared suddenly when Enki and his cohorts added erectus genes to their genome. We got advanced technology when Sumerian gods gave it to us. Sumerians tagged Anunnaki aircraft, submarines, helicopters, spaceships, weapons, and computers with their own words, and the words that the gods taught them. Our ancestors called aircraft and rockets skyships, celestial chariots, and fire-breathing dragons. They named helicopters whirlbirds. The whale that swallowed Jonah was a submarine. Weapons were called brilliances. And we labeled Nibiruan medical and scientific achievements miracles. Our ancestors recorded the history, scientific words, and concepts the gods taught them. What gods called MEs, we call computer programs. Our cultures added descriptions, metaphors, similes, and analogies to the words the gods gave us. We can now decode our ancestors' metaphors for the gods and their technology instead of dismissing the weapons, vehicles, and personalities of gods as superstitious myths.
So, we begin the series. Review with us our ancient history and really get a sense of who we truly are, how we got here, and how this new information can free us from the Matrix.
Thank you for joining us. You can hear the next episode and buy our books, which are on AquarianRadio.com and AnkiSpeaks.com. Thank you for joining us today.